Hi, so today I'm going to be recording the FIT2081 lab for week 7 based on these specifications on model for the alternative arrangement. So my app is already running. In task 1, basically we have to store the books in a database instead of array lists and shared preferences like we did the previous weeks. So as you can see here in the app inspection, I already made the database. And if I add a book like Harry Potter 3, and maybe Harry Potter 4, and then I refresh this. Yep, it's added. And then the book ID is the primary key. As you can see here, they're all unique for each book. And how did I do that? Well, I go to my book class, I label an entity as and then this entity basically defines a table in the database. In this case, I call a table named books. And then the book class, what I did was I auto-generate the primary key, and the primary key is my book ID. So yeah. And then for the rest of the attributes like title, ISBN, blah, 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 I just told the column info. I just named the column info like book title for title, book ISBN for the ISBN attribute, and it shows in the database right here. And then I did implement the room database with the code provided on Moodle, like that. And then I created a book database object to basically manage local data, SQL-like data source using objects. So in here, basically, we just store the methods that, like if we want to query the database to delete books or whatnot, I just have to do it like that. And then after that, I created the repository, which basically kind of communicates directly with the book database object. And it provides an API for the UI to communicate with. It also has like specific methods I'll implement later on for the next task. And then after the repository, I go to the book view model, because this class basically holds all the data needed for the UI lah. So it'll be directly used in the main activity here as an attribute. There you go, book view model. Yep, and I think that's pretty much it on how I implemented task 1. Yep, I'll continue with task 2 after this. Okay, so for task 2, basically, you just want me to place the recycler view, so it shows all the books in a fragment, and it retrieved from the room database, blah, blah, blah. So how I did it was, first I'll show you by adding a new book. I call it Harry Potter 6. I add it here, update the database. Okay, Harry Potter 6, the book is here. And then I just create list all, which basically opens a new activity and shows you the recycler view of the card views of the book we have here in a recycler view. Then this recycler view is stored in a fragment, and I'll show you that in the code right now. So I created a new fragment for listing the books, and then in the onCreate method, I get my book view model, because this is what the UI communicates with, and then I just get all the books, because I have a method in my book view model class that basically gives me all the books in the database. And then I set the data of my recycler view adapter to this new data that I got from the database, and I notify the data set change in the listbook fragment. So by doing this, I already place it all in fragment, and then in my activity main XML file, I have a frame here, which I place the fragment in, and also in the listbooks fragment, I create a recycler view like that. And so it automatically updates its list if a new book is added, and that has been explained in the notify dataset change. So, and I also showed you earlier, if I list all, you can see all the books here. So yeah. And then they told us to reuse the fragment in a second activity. So what I did was I just created a new activity called listbooks activity. And then all I did was in the XML file of that listbooks, I created a frame layout called frame activity. And then here I just started that fragment in that frame of that activity. Yeah, just use the listbook fragment in the commit. So in my main activity, if I go down to the list all method, yeah, I just created a new intent. and it jumps to the list book activity, and then I just start the activity, and then this activity basically starts the fragment. And yeah, that's all. I think. Oh, and one more thing. Of course, I created the option menu here. I mean, sorry, the drawer menu here to list all the books. And I just run my list all function, which earlier, of course, is just starting the new activity. And then in my drawer menu, I have list all drawer option basically. Yep, that's all for task 2. Yep, so now I'm going to explain the extra task. Basically, provide a new function, delete all the books with price more than 50. So this is pretty simple. It was pretty simple. I just go to my book database object, and I created a new query right here. Delete from books. Books is the name of my table, of course. And then I cast each book price as integer, because in my book price, I realized it's actually string. So I just cast it as integer first. And I check if it's more than 50. If it is more than 50, then I just delete just like that. And of course, I added these methods to my repository as well. There we go, delete book price more than 50. And then I execute the method in my book DAO. And also in my view model, I have the method as well. And this communicates directly with the book repository. So then I just call a method. And then finally, in my main activity, of course, earlier I told you I have my book view model here. So what I have to do is to remove the books is in my navigation item here. I just call a method remove expensive books because, you know, more than 50 means it's quite expensive. Then my remove expensive book methods, I just use my view model for my book, and then I just call the delete book price more than 50 method. And to demonstrate that this works, well, it should work now because all my books in my database is 250. So if I go to my menu here, and then I click on remove expensive books, boom. And then I refresh this, it should delete all the books because every book price is 250. Now, if I have a book price as 40, and I add the book, and then let's say I add 60, add the book to my database. So I have 2 books, 140, 160. When I click remove expensive books, it should remove the 41. So if update it here, I mean, it should remove the book price as 60. So yeah, as you can see, it removed the book which price was 60. So that's all for the extra task. Thank you for watching.